Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
We discover hidden secrets of BMX.
And now we're going to find out what's going on.
Let's see how far down this rabbit hole we go.
Bow, 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 ba-da-ba-dum, bow, 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 ba-da-ba-dum, bow.
We have to reflect on the year. You know that it's coming up on a year that we released the first two episodes. Remember, we did the simultaneous. We released Pete Augustin and Brian Blyther at the same time when we launched.
I do remember that because you did so much promotion of the Pete Augustin that it is still by far our most viewed.
And it was the first show.
Because you did a lion's share of promotion of that.
I think I just shared it on all kinds of groups, and I guess I could do that again. But I think we kind of need to reflect, and I've been thinking about this a lot, Joe, and I feel like we've kind of gone pretty far off script. I mean, I know this isn't a scripted show, but like just the feeling of what, yes, there's some jokes and there's some harassing a little bit and maybe making up some stories. And I think I'm in a position that I can confess to have a clear conscience, but I also feel like I've been kind of subject to, I don't know, I've never really worked with you on this level, Joe. And I know Jim has some experience with you, but all I know is I'm falling down the slippery slope.
Toward what? Your hurting feelings is what you're saying?
I think I'm ruffling feathers. I mean, maybe some hurt feelings, but like you coin it when you did the intro. Everybody likes Dave Norrie, and that's not.
I said I said people love Dave Norrie.
Yeah.
And in fact, the reason it's not everybody loves Dave Norrie is because you told me to throw that take out, and I had to soften the language to say people love Dave Norrie, and you barely accepted that.
And now I think there's a growing list of people that aren't, maybe not me per se, but what we're doing on factOrFreestyle. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base here. You guys correct me, but I'm just saying my position is I want to make sure we're.
Well, I'm glad that you're, thinking more about ruffling feathers. You invented Joe Johnson had ants in his pants when he invented the tail whip. And while we shopped that around, we discovered that Craig Campbell had ants in his pants on the barge in Austin.
Correct.
Okay.
So you're saying that was
so you thought that was smack talking. You thought that was feelings hurting, smack talking, feather ruffling.
Well, I think that was pretty good natured. Joe Johnson was pretty lighthearted about it all when he watched his reaction to all the people watching the tape.
Montana Ricky goes, I've heard of it, but I haven't asked him about it. And Joe goes, people have heard of this?
And Brian Blyther just starts cracking up. And how about James McGraw? He's like, what?
He yelped.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
I don't know. That's where I'm trying to find that line. And we're right on the edge at times. And I just don't want to slip off.
So if this has actually been kind of our pickaxe, our shovel. We are mining for these hidden stories.
Okay.
And what you are saying is our pursuit of these little silly, petty stories, some of which are made up, but we get down to some really interesting stuff. You are concerned now that these stories had been hidden for a reason, and that as we unearth them, they hurt feelings.
Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Pinky squeaks.
Oh my God, I am never okay.
I know. It's a totally, I mean,
Jim,
the
when
pinky
we
squeaks-
turn the recording off, we can explain how they got to be called pinky squeaks, but you
it's
will not
just
believe.
insane. So where do we?
You will not
know,
believe this, but we heard it first, secondhand.
So I mean,
Honest to God.
that's the waters
Yeah.
that we're navigating.
I know the story. Yeah, they talked about it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I know.
Oh, you do? Okay.
But
Wait, you were on that one.
I didn't hear any of that.
Were you on that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you were on that one.
Yeah.
That's
Unfortunately,
so funny.
now I know. I can't unknow it.
Okay, so pinky squeaks should
Yeah.
have.
And
You
that's my
think-
point. So Jim just said it. You can't unknow it. So we put this out there. We published, we're doing our investigations. Yes, we start some ideas of, I mean, you know how the Joe Johnson came about. I mean, I remember that conversation. I was heading to the jam. It was in Portland. And I said, Joe, what if we just said that we heard that it was ants in his pants that caused him to twitch to do the tail whip? And you, I mean,
Loved it.
respectfully, you just
Loved
took,
it.
yeah, you loved it and you just took it on. So, and that
It's
came
so
out,
funny.
and it came out to be great
Okay.
content.
Okay, so you think those secrets need to be hidden. I am kind of the Indiana Jones. I believe these secrets deserve to be in a museum. We're going to have to figure something else out. You believe that these hidden stories deserve to be repaired, not exploited for clickbait and comedic purposes. And you believe that these stories should not be the fodder upon which I build my comedy empire.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
All right. So what do we have to do?
Well, I mean, since we're at this 1-year anniversary, we're in a position where you can just hit reset. What would happen? We would lose our 37 subscribers possibly. And
So
our-
you want to reset. This is why you have come up with the idea for Summit 43. Is that correct?
Well, that's just, I feel like, okay, so what do we do? What are we doing now? Really, we're doing an entertaining web show. We're doing some online contests and some in-person contests. And the third thing that I thought would add would be some online workshops, because we've discovered a lot of great wisdom amongst these guests that are just very wise in their knowledge of their field. So Summit 43 is an opportunity for people that can tap into that.
And so you believe that the audience, or as part of your atonement for the feelings that you have heard, you have to balance the equation with life-affirming content.
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly, or yes.
No, possibly. Because I think that was from the beginning anyway. I feel like,
Oh, you believe that asking dudes if they heard rumors that we manufactured was actually life-affirming content. That's what you. Am I getting this right?
Jim, I'm needing some support here. Jim, are you do you ever fall subject to this guy? Like he doesn't let up. I mean, tell me if I'm way off base here.
In false subject in what way?
Well, I think that, okay. Yeah, so there's the entertaining
Say
value
that again. You
people
kind
are-
of your network
Yeah.
kind of dropped out as you were trying to get Jim to throw you a rubber dinghy, a lifeline.
Oh, you didn't hear it, Jim?
No, huh?
Damn, I think I should go on my phone.
Keep going. You're fine. We'll fix it in post.
So what I'm saying, Jim, is that you've worked with Joe for some time, and there's times when I throw something out there as an idea, and then I just get sucked into Joe's world, and it's fun and it's entertaining, and it's kind of, I'm just trying to like reel it back just a bit. Can you relate?
Yeah. I mean, I think in general, I think fun and entertaining are good qualities, though. But sometimes it does. We went a little too far that one episode, but in general, like I think it's cool. I don't think Ants in His Pants is too controversial for a podcast. That's, I mean, maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't lose sleep over saying somebody has ants in their pants. I don't think they're going to be morally wounded on that one. I don't know. I think that was just kind of a funsy, but I hear what
Maybe
you're
we
saying
should
now.
ask Alex. You're right. Maybe we should ask Alex Jones if he would be comfortable doing ants in the pants.
That's our rating. Like that's our barometer. Alex Jones.
Completely different. I recognize that. Do you recognize that?
Yeah. You know that I
Okay.
spent some time in radio, and Alex Jones was like the farthest out in left field as you can possibly get, or I should say right field. Okay, so where are we at?
In the new era, we're not calling any writers lizards. I want to set that as a ground rule. That's not open for discussion. I think that would be a bad step to start calling people lizards.
Jim, I will second that. And now the vote goes to Dave. Are you willing to do the right thing in this case, Dave?
Did I call someone a loser?
Oh, a
Lizard.
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 Are you willing, okay, to never again refer to a writer as a lizard?
Yes.
Dave,
when was-
why did you wait so long?
When was the last time
Why did I
called someone a
sense
lizard?
hesitance?
Who did I call? Did I call someone?
I'm not saying that you did, Dave. I'm just wondering if going forward, you're going to be willing to never call a writer a lizard.
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
All right. Would have
Okay,
liked
good.
for you to say yes right away, but I'll take it.
Okay. I feel like this is good progress because we got some ground. We got at least something in the books.
We got to, all right, we got to
Gonna
make a
call
change.
writers.
Dave, you got to get on. How about you get on your phone and use your cellular connection? Because you just
Yeah.
completely fell apart.
I know, both emotionally and
We're going to get you through this.
Joe, what's the update on One Love Jam? What's going on out there? Are they riding? I saw everything was raining earlier.
So there is rain, and I've been texting with some dudes who've been out there, and Mark Eaton is going to set up, and he's going to do it anyway. But Shane Caginori lives on a mountaintop cannabis and llama farm
Mhm.
that is operated by a commune. And so the fallback position is to go to literally to the higher ground, which I think is like, I texted my girlfriend, to Angie. I was like, no, there's a writer who lives on a mountaintop cannabis and llama farm. No joke.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Different, but interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So let's see if Dave can do this.
I'm getting, can you hear me, guys?
We can hear
Yes.
you now.
I just got a warning, a tsunami warning again, so it's getting pretty intense around here.
Is it a tsunami watch or tsunami warning? Because the tornado watch versus warnings are different.
It's a warning. I mean, my phone started beeping and going crazy.
Did they say evacuate or did they say?
They said-
the-
I didn't read the details. I just closed out so I could join this meeting because this is more important, obviously.
Okay. All right.
Okay, here we go. All right, guys. Where were we?
Now, you
Yeah.
what you were saying, Dave, was you want to destroy the original show format and you want to reformulate it.
Yeah.
Because we cannot entertain with any risk of feather ruffling. And in order to do that,
I'm sorry.
you need to, who is in your room?
It's my neighbor. I have the door open. This room smelled so bad of this deodorizer. I couldn't bear it. I wrapped it up in plastic and it's hanging out the window because the deodorizer is so strong. So I have the door open.
Okay.
But I think they're done now. They just were going in and out. They're good. Okay, yeah. So I don't know. That sounds a little extreme. Maybe I'm going too far off base.
Well, what about this? What about this? I'll propose. So one of the things that we discovered along the way. So let's analyze the Bob Harrow bit. That turns out Bob legitimately is an overgripper. People have spoken about this.
He talked about it.
He talked about it, and at Woodward, you and Eddie Fiola and John B. Helped me strategize to sneak up and overgrip Bob Harrow.
Yeah.
All of this while for months I have used the show logo to trigger Bob into sending a cease and desist because our logo is a guy on a bike in a silhouette, which is what earned Eddie Fiola his cease and desist letter. You think that was a little bit too far. Here's my suggested pivot. When the cameras turned off, in other words, when James stopped recording this amazing conversation, Bob revealed to us that Big Kevin, we forget his last name, but I call him Big Kevin. Big Kevin overgripped Bob Harrow. And that's what gave Bob the confidence to create Freestyle in the first place. And so we think that maybe we start to investigate like the meta factor freestyle, what was the origin story of this stuff. And we stopped talking. I stopped trying to get Bob to send a cease and desist letter. And then we start figuring out what is it with these people like Big Kevin and the very powerful and very positive influence they can have on someone's life literally in a flash.
I kind of love
That's
that. That's cool.
So the deeper meaning behind it all.
the deeper meaning.
So speaking, and so that's just how we're going to program our mindset around every situation that we come across, right? Is that kind of what you're proposing, Joe? Like that's our underlining.
You are
vision.
welcome. You are welcome to change your mindset as you see fit. My conversation to laying this out is the premise for content which could seemingly take an entire year or more. This can set us on a direction that I think has many, many legs.
Okay, so I have just thinking in those terms. Tell me if you think I'm way out base.
You are not off base. You are not off base. And I'm going to reveal something that I haven't revealed before about why I believe that this is, you are not off base. For several years, I studied and practiced and had a mentor and coach. So you know how Marty coaches me in flatland riding? I have had mentors, a mentor. I have a set of mentors that have taught me a Polynesian shamanism. And this has gone for years, and I'm not kidding about this.
Okay.
And I've taken workshops in Hawaii that do this.
Okay.
What you just said about your mindset shifting is not too far. That is the basis of shamanism. So you are welcome to do that. I'm not telling you no. I'll do whatever mindset shift, whatever, but I'm trying to come up with content. Jim loves this idea.
I do.
Wait, what idea? Exactly what idea? Tell me what you mean. What idea?
The idea of, yeah, Jim, how would you pitch this idea?
Yeah. So kind of drilling deeper into these things to discover the meaning and the causes, to kind of, I think, discuss this stuff with the purpose of gaining insight and wisdom into the causes, and just kind of more universal.
Okay.
Ish. I probably didn't say that very well, but Joe, I feel like I
You said it
understand what
well.
you're getting at, and I like it.
You said it spot on.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Yeah.
Now you say it. So Jim and I get this. We are now going to test you. So you, Dave, say it back to us, and we will validate that you got it right.
Have you heard, you guys, Factor Freestyle has taken this new vision and this new approach to really finding the secrets of life, like the deep down secrets that are hidden, that you can't just discover without like numerous hours and efforts in discovering what's really behind it.
So we on the show are an outsourced life coach. Yeah.
Okay.
And we have we are going to set out to figure this out.
Okay.
Okay, that's kind of how you're pitching this. This is a freemium life coach offer.
Freemium. I love that term. Freemium. Okay, so here, going back, Joe and Jim, to the first two episodes.
Freemium life coach is so funny.
It's freemium.
I
So
don't think I've ever heard that term. I love it.
I think it's
This
something
is
Joe
so
just made
funny.
up.
It is, and I'm putting it on.
Premium
It's freemium.
content.
Okay.
Life coaching.
So So Joe, hear me out on this one. If this is what we're discovering, and we can even go back and look at some of the things that have happened. For example, one of the things that I did share that I didn't make up was a story that Dennis McCoy told me about when he went to his first contest, drove all the way out from Kansas City. He was co-sponsored by Haro. He entered expert. When he got there, Pete Augustine said, hey, Dave Norrie's going pro. You got to compete against me. So are you saying that that moment in time when Pete challenged Dennis McCoy basically is what launched him to be McCoy being a superstar? Is that kind of the analogy that you're going with?
Yes. So Pete Augustine mean mugged, flexed, and provided a threat, an existential threat to DMC. And in that moment, DMC made a choice that would change the course of his life. He became what many consider the most competitive person the sport has ever seen. He's 50 and he did a 900 at the X Games. Let's just be really clear about this.
Yeah.
There is reason to believe that, similar to how Big Kevin overgripped Bob Haro, that Pete Augustine overflexed DMC.
He over bike flex, like it was, or trick flex, because he basically went out and did a trick in front of Dennis. It wasn't even flexing different than a handshake. It's calling someone out.
So it's metaphorical and it's symbolic. And because you want to be a shaman, I will tell you that it doesn't matter if it was a bike flex or a muscle flex. The thing that had the impact was the flex. And that's what changed the game. Was DMC was flexed on by Pete Augustine, and DMC made a choice in that moment that changed the course of his life for the better.
Great. So any other examples that you can think of from this last year? Because I'm sure there are many.
Jim, help me out. I'm updating our bio.
Okay, so I actually want to go on a quick tangent since this is recording, and I'll probably forget if I don't just say it. I personally would be interested in kind of exploring some different flatland techniques that cause paradigm shifts in sport. For example, riding fakie. I believe there's a point where no one had rolled tricks or rode backwards. And once the fakie stuff started, it changed everything. Today, backwards is almost as common as forwards. Brakeless. The turbine. That's another one. Scuffless.
Yeah.
Just these concepts, like, where did the turbine start? Because now, like, damn near every modern rider is doing it. Some kind of turbine, some kind of backwards rolling trick, some kind of brakeless switch. And it wasn't always that way. So for me personally, just kind of coming in at the very, very beginning of new school riding, that stuff's like super fascinating to me because it didn't exist in the old stuff I watched when I started riding. It's all kind of like, since I've been riding, I've seen all that stuff like kind of come to fruition, and it completely changed like what riding looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my tangent. That's like a sidebar to the main combo. But
that's great. That stuff happens. I think this is spectacular. So yeah, like, where did scuffing come from? And then when it clicked. So like Mark Eaton told the story about, okay, like the steamroller. So Wilkerson used to push off and do the steamroller. I think like either with the seat or with both hands, and then he would smoothie out of it at the beginning of his show. And he had apparently had done that for years. Mark Eaton told the story of how people were doing that, they were pushing off into it, but no one had figured out how to ride in. And Mark thought, what if I did half of a whiplash and took my hand off? Now, that's like a caveman inventing or discovering fire, like chipping two rocks together. Today, we're like, oh, of course, that's how you do it. But most everything was rolling backwards. And it was like a squeaker derivative, and it involved brakes. So rolling forward, it felt completely different. And for years, they called them rolling tricks. Something happened. You know, it's like at the beginning of 2001, A Space Odyssey, where the simian has a bone and starts breaking other bones, and that was the advent of life forms using tools. And then we flash forward into space.
Yep.
Is that Dave? Is this resonating with where this vision is taking, or do you believe that I've perhaps taken it too far already? We're like 14 minutes into this and I may have fucked it up already.
I'm
No.
sorry, Hal.
No, I think you can never take something like that too far, Joe. I'm just always considering someone's feelings, I guess. So if you're gonna outline the different aspects of Flatland and how it's evolved, whether we get it right or wrong, I think it's interesting for sure. Because I mean, we talked about it a lot on the show, where people would go to contest and they would see, James McGraw said he went to an AFA contest, he would see tricks and he would learn it and put it in his run right then. Like the kind of riding that people were exposed to at contests were pivotal, and it would change their styles like that day even.
Yeah, very much like Reiki, just this direct transmission, Zen stuff. You meet the master, you're granted the truth. And I don't know if that still happens today, if pros show up at a contest and see something and learn it right there. Maybe they do, but it's neat that it for sure used to happen. It's really interesting.
I was having this conversation with Chris Young. Not exactly, like, not to the level of shaman, but to the level of who goes to a contest and learns something that day. So apparently Chris hurt his calf on James' pad during the pre-jam and was possibly not going to ride. And so he wasn't practicing his routine. He decided to try to learn cross-footed G-turns, and he did. And then his name gets called, and I think, Dave, you were like, you got to ride. And he's like, I don't know if I'm going to ride. And so Chris Young found his center, worked around his hurt leg, and did a cross-footed G-turn in his contest run, having learned it just prior. When does that ever happen? And it hasn't happened. So that,
and he won the contest.
Some hoods,
he won his class.
And he won. That's some plywood hood shit right there.
Yeah. And I think he relearned it, Joe. I don't think it was a brand new trick, just to be clear. He relearned cross-footed. But regardless.
I'm going to have this. We will ask Chris this question when we are up in Cleveland for Summit 43.
Okay. We'll do it. Okay, so how are we gonna integrate that into our daily or our weekly shows? Because each week we should maybe cover, and we could put it out to the
I'll give you one.
community.
I'll give you one.
Okay,
I'll give you one, Dave. I will apologize
really?
to every guest. I will issue an apology
Joe,
for
I'm not asking you to do this, just to be clear, I want to be on the record, like, if you are, that's very nice of you, but I don't think that's necessary. But it really compels you. Are you really saying this because you want to just like,
so maybe
clear
this
the
is one
slate?
of the moments. Okay, I'm not going to try to flex on anyone, but if I can apologize pro class, I can apologize pro class. I am so fucking good at apologizing. It's it's like the first time you had Johnny Walker Blue. Spectacular scotch. And if you're drinking well scotch and you have Johnny Walker Blue, it will change the way you look at the world.
So you've had
Because
some
the quality
practice. You've had some practice apologizing.
I've had tremendous practice. Apologize.
Okay, no, I think that's a good thing. I mean, yeah, sure, why not? Okay, I think I'll get on that. I'll do the same thing. I don't know if I'll be as good as you, but
So let's
I've
roll
been-
the dice. Jim, if you want to maybe scroll through, or from memory, if you pull up a guest and just drop a name, I can absolutely apologize to that guest.
Okay.
Let's play Stump the Chump.
Wow, Joe, this is like a new face you have going on.
Yeah, I know. I take my glasses off and it's completely different.
Well, I also meant that you're going to be apologizing for your jokes.
Brett Downs.
Ooh,
Oh, Brett Downs. Brett Downs.
that down.
Okay. I practiced this one.
You did. You've been thinking about this.
I did. So one of the things I do before I ride is I sit in the hot tub and I kind of watch the sunset, and it affords me the opportunity to, while my body's warming up, I can't have my phone. So I just got to think about what's going on. I think about how I'm going to ride, and I try to get things off my chest, because if they don't, I sometimes think that it manifests as tension in my muscles. And so my apology to Brett. So Brett, I pinned you. I kind of pinned you into a situation of pitching to be on the Plywood Hoods. You were in front of John Dowker. You were going to ride somewhere. And my argument was that because of the pandemic, the York, PA residency requirement deserves to be dropped. And I told you that I had been auditioning for the Plywood Hoods for 8 years to get your attention. That's when you got uneasy, and then you issued me the challenge to do a 4-foot-high tabletop on a quarter pipe. What I need to apologize for is, unbeknownst to you, I had called Dave and then Mark Eaton, and I asked for coaching on how to pitch you on getting a shot at the Plywood Hoods. You were unaware that I was heavily coached by a celebrity panel, one of which was on the inside. And it feels good for this to be out right now.
Wow.
So I'm sorry. So I'm sorry for negotiating with you with pretty severe asymmetrical information.
Great.
How would you, so Jim, how would you rate that on the chase system? What was the degree of difficulty of that?
Ooh, that was my big gun, honestly. So, yeah, everything else is kind of minor. Easily a 9 out of 10. I thought it was great. I don't know what a 10 out of 10 would be, but I thought it was sincere and relevant. Probably not
So
easy.
what about the variety?
Yeah.
So what about the variety of evidence that I presented in that?
Also good. Also good. Genuine.
Okay.
So
What about originality? Did you hear anything in the style of that apology that you did not hear from other people? We're rating my apologies on the chase system.
I don't know. It was a great apology, Joe. It was so much
Okay.
better than, dude, I'm sorry. Like, you could have done that. You didn't. You went much, much, much deeper. And so I think that he would appreciate that. Your thoroughness. Yeah. And candor. Yes.
Okay, Joe, I think I want in on this. I think that Jim, can you pull a name for me?
Can I what?
Can you just pull a name from, like, look, scroll through the shows and
I'm not talking shit, but I think the world is about to watch me smoke Dave Norrie in an apology off. I don't think that Dave
Well,
has much
hey, just hold
experience
your horses. I mean,
apologizing. I think Dave is well. Okay, we're gonna call this the open class, but let's call it the qual.
well, Joe, I mean, give me a shot here. Jim hasn't even given me the name yet.
I know I'm kind of flexing on you. I'm
You
like
are
Matthias. I'm buzzing you. I'm buzzing you
very,
in the
very-
jam circle.
You're very confident in this field, and I'm not.
I don't know. I'm like, who is Dave offended? And like, I don't know.
I love that word.
Oh, come
I
on,
love
Jim.
that-
Dave, you're pretty like conscientious guy. You don't go around calling people buttheads and stuff. Who
Should
would
I
you like
pick
to?
one?
Joe,
Yeah,
why don't you dig up one then? Thank you, thank
All right.
you, Jim. That is
I'm
a nice
just gonna-
compliment.
So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to scroll down our YouTube.
Okay,
scrolling,
perfect. Yeah,
scrolling,
because there's something.
scrolling. Boom.
I'm sure there was something
Boom.
on one show.
Boom. John Bulgins.
Oh, I know exactly where to go with this. Okay, boy. John, I want to take this time to apologize for my comment when we had you on the show with Pete and Mike Parente and Dave Volker. And I was just in good fun, lightheartedness, made a comment to saying that you couldn't speak on the call because we hadn't talked to your agent yet. We haven't spoken with your agent. We hadn't set up any kind of arrangement. And, you laughed it off, and everyone, and there was also, everyone was in the car together. And I just, I took that opportunity to kind of make a joke that obviously wasn't in the best nature. It was funny, but I could imagine that might have upset you in some way, and you probably just blew it off. But it's the kind of thing that might be eating at you now. So I apologize, and I hope that you accept my apology.
I don't get it. What was the joke, Dave?
What was the joke? Well, because he
Yeah.
was a superstar, and he just released the movie Ride, and he
isn't at the caliber of our show. He's way beyond us. You didn't laugh at that joke? Maybe I'm the only one that did.
I wanted to get you to elaborate on your apology. You made
I
him
don't know.
uncomfortable. You made him uncomfortable with his, you reminded him of his
Yeah.
discomfort with his own fame.
Yeah, I exactly. I put him on the spot in his glory day. I mean, he was really, that was like his prime. His movie had just released and I hadn't even watched it yet. Oh, I'm so sorry. Gosh. See,
Yeah,
Jim,
this is a pretty bad one because Dave, I opened the call with John and I told him that I was watching the movie and I was right in the middle. And I told him what I liked about the movie. You hadn't even watched it.
I hadn't watched it. Damn.
I was very complimentary of John B. You decided to poke fun at his fame. He was in there with Ludacris, man. And you just were like, oh, you put out a movie? No, I'll get to it. That was, wow, you really needed to apologize for that. I'm
I
glad
know.
you did.
See? And that's just one of many. You just randomly picked through. Okay, so let's do another round. You know,
What do we got next?
I'm not as good as Joe. I admit it. Okay. It was really Joe's like spot on. He hit all the points. But do another one just random and go to you, Joe, and then another one for me. See if we can get better at this. Or if I can get better at this.
I could do this all day, by the way.
Yeah, I could
Like,
tell.
It reminds me
I
of
think-
all the shows.
It reminds you of all the shows.
It takes me back to the shows.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. And maybe we should apologize to every single guest.
Okay, so Dave, go on. Why don't you pick the one for me now, Dave? We'll
No.
go around.
Oh. Okay. Hold on. I'll be
I
back.
can't. You have to know these by heart.
No,
Why don't you
I'm
just pick the one that you don't think I can pull off? Why
No,
don't you
no,
give
no,
me a
I'm gonna-
challenge?
I'm gonna do the thing that you did. I'm gonna just randomly pick from the show like you did.
So speaking of putting Joe on the spot, Jim, I want to share something from Woodward West, the OSR reunion,
Okay.
which I worked like hell to get an invitation to. I had to send my CV to
Right.
to Xavier. So Dave has a contest and he has 3 classes. Like hot shots, cool shots, and never miss your shots.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of people watching the jam circle all day. And Dave thinks that it's a good idea for me to compete in the never miss your shot. Meanwhile, my profile free coaster was broken, so I couldn't pedal.
Ooh.
The space was slanted, so it is like kryptonite to a roller like me, and I'm not going to spin and I'm not going to scuff. And for like 6 or 7 months, the only trick I did was multiple whiplashes.
Yeah.
And Dave was like, okay, well, it's Joe versus James McGraw. Now I did tricks in the jam circle. I fell a lot, obviously. But one of them I did was that Faja whip, that like no hand juggler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crickets. Nobody said anything. James McGraw goes out there, does his spin. Dudes are like, yeah, James, you're awesome. Claps. And I'm like, well, I mean, only 80,000 people have ever done a satellite spin. So good that I think they were clapping for the trick. And so
Yeah.
no, I'm not hating. I'm not hating. I'm just saying that my aesthetic was quite not understood Plus, everyone had bright colors, and I showed up like George Manos, like all
Yeah.
black. And it's
What are you saying, Joe? I don't
California.
understand.
You're-
What are you saying? What do you need? Do you need me to apologize for that? What did I do?
no, I was just burning time, telling a funny story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the appreciation from the crowd was not commensurate with the level of your riding based on your aesthetic and riding style. I get it. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the entire week, James and Dave were just showered in accolades. It was the most remarkable thing. I was oppo that. It was amazing.
Nice.
And Joe, just so that it's said, you could pick whatever class you wanted to. I was just saying that
Oh,
might
really?
be yeah, you could have
Oh,
picked
well,
a hot
it's,
shot. You
prob-
could have picked.
it's probably all of my own doing.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably just did that to set up this
Dave Volker.
fake sob story.
Dave
Dave
Volker.
Dave Volker.
I happened to scroll through and I hit the same show with which was Volker. And remember, Volker was traveling, so that's why we got a bunch of riders on there. But it was the same show. That's what I landed on, and Volker. And I'm sure if you need help, I can help you to discover something to apologize.
No, I know. Dave. So in the show, I had a story that I wanted to share with you about you. And one of the things that I have always admired about you, Dave, is
Wait, stop. I think this is confusing. I think you're gonna have to say Volker. I think you're talking about me. Go back and start over.
Okay.
So
start
Joe.
over. I will call him Lord.
Yeah.
Lord Volker.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Joe.
All right.
Volker.
Lord. Okay, Dave Volker. So Lord Volker, I want to issue an apology. I had prepared a story that for years I had in my head about a time that I saw you at a show, and it was emblematic of what has made you great. And I have always considered you to be shockingly tough as nails. And you, from all the way back in the day, all the way through to today, and through the 90s and the 2000s, you continue to do that Lord Volker shit. And the story was at Tim's Cycle in North Olmsted. Dino came to do a show, and you were you went fast. You were a little bit of an overcarver. No hate, but you were kind of known as an overcarver, and you kind of overcarved from like an 8-foot air and went like off the side of the quarter pipe in the middle and went down on your head. And then you got back up and finished the show. And I was like, this dude is the toughest dude ever. Wow, that's so awesome. But as I told the story, you said, oh, I thought you were going to say that I went and did a show and I pulled a Diz Hicks and was just like throwing up. I did not intend to trigger that thought in you because it was the farthest thing from my mind. Everybody drinks beer. Everybody goes a little off base. There have been times in my professional career as I was building relationships with people, some of whom were hard drinkers, that, well, there was this one time in particular, I just made my presentation, but I was pretty green in the lead up to it. And so I know that this kind of stuff happens. But that was the farthest thing from my mind. I was giving you super props, and I'm glad that eventually it came around and you heard the whole story of what I thought was so admirable about you. but I apologize for triggering you for those few minutes where you thought I was going to tell a Dave Volker, Diz Hicks inspired vomiting through show story.
Pretty good, I must say. Because I did not think I didn't know that. So that's good for me to know. I didn't know you had that. Did Dave even speak into that? Volker even speak into that?
Yes.
Oh, right. Because he said, I thought you were going to say, right. Okay. I just didn't even read into that. Good one. All right. I think this is actually pretty good. All right. So Joe, you scroll through one. I want to do another one. Not to say that I'm anything at the caliber that you are, but practice makes perfect.
Gentlemen, I must go. I
All right.
turned
Jim's
into a
got
pumpkin.
business.
I have business to attend to.
All right, Jim.
All right, buddy.
Lady business. All right. I'll see you later.
See you.
Catch you later, man.
Oh.
Montana Ricky.
Montana Ricky. Ooh. Oh, you might have to help me. Okay, so I'm remembering the show. Man, I gotta remember more about the show. Okay, so we did the Ants in the Pants. There's a party going on.
Ricky said that that this was a wholesome show. Ricky said that there was lots of nasty, really filthy stories that float around BMX, and that this is like those, but it's all the wholesome stories.
That's what he said. He
That's
said
what
wholesome.
He said.
Oh, that's
He
nice.
said wholesome.
But what could I apologize for? Can you think of anything?
So one of the things that derails the value of an apology is when someone else suggests the thing to be apologetic for.
Well, yeah. I mean, just give me
I'm
another
not.
one.
So there is plenty of people on the internet that attempt to mold other people's behavior through shame tactics.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can't think
through
of
shame-
anything.
through shame torturing. I will not engage in that.
Okay. Well, then I won't ask you that again. But I can't think of anything on that show with Ricky Montana.
Well, I'll just message Ricky and say, Ricky, Dave believes he does not owe you an apology. And just leave it at that. Just say, I don't want to talk about it anything more. Dave believes he doesn't owe you an apology.
Well, no, I think I need to do that. It's not coming from you. Why would it come from you? I need to say.
That actually might be funny if you just DM'd Ricky and said, look, I don't think I owe you an apology, and just see what happens.
I'll do it.
You should apologize for having that impure thought.
Hey, Ricky, I just want to be clear. I don't owe you an apology. Are we clear on that?
I just want to be clear. That is such a perfect, that is a Dave Norrie flex that you can use. I just want to be clear. I don't think I owe you an apology.
Yeah, he was great. He was telling all kinds of story, and I love that show. He was funny.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And he talked about how he was out talking anyone. I mean, I was intent. I don't know. I don't know that guy in the
We have to have a talk off show. I really want to do that this year.
With
I want to do
Scott
a
Powell.
talk off between Scott and Montana Ricky. I don't know who would win or what, like how it would go. I don't know who would watch the whole freaking thing. I mean, you want to talk about burying evidence. It'll be like it could be an 8-hour conversation. And
And
let's
who
just say
knows
that it's an
what-
8-hour conversation.
Who knows what would be in that 8 hours that could potentially be a gem.
We're gonna send the gold miners through it. They're gonna have to parse it all and find, oh, wait a second, that would be funny. So we do the Scott
The talk
Powell,
off.
Montana Ricky talk off. Let's just say that it's 7 hours. And then there's a
Hmm.
contest for someone to isolate the funniest bit. So very much like the nowhere contest, they have to find the funny content. And it could be, 2 to 3 minutes, something like that. A regular contest run, 3 minutes. They have to
2.5
find the
minutes.
funniest 3 minutes. Yeah. And then they send it in to us, and then we look at it and we judge it.
And it's
And
not
then-
edited. It's not edited. It's just raw. It's a raw clip. It can't be spliced. It just has to be the 3 minutes, right?
I would say that editing is okay. So if they
Okay, so
find
they
like
can
a
get-
story arc and they want to condense it and say,
Yeah. Okay,
wait a
so they
second,
can
you
get
just said
creative,
dot dot
yeah.
dot, they can get creative.
But
I'm
what
fine
about
with
if they
that.
took content and because people are professionals at this, right? They can
Yeah.
take content and they can put it, out of context.
Fine, even better.
Okay.
Well,
I
hold
love
on a
it.
second. One of the rules is one of the point deductions is for taking something entirely out of context.
Okay.
Entirely
what
out of
about-
context. Like you,
but what about
you
this,
can
Joe?
mess with the context to amplify the point, but you can't be totally out of context.
Okay, but this is actually onto something really good, especially with Factor Freestyle's new face that we have.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what about that we have to outline that this 50% of the judging of the scores will be judged on I'm trying to say it in the most concise way. 50% is judged on gems that I've found that are universal life lessons,
Sure.
right? So
Sure. And they
that's what we're
sure.
that's what we're realizing our specialty is. Our specialty is life affirming, life wisdom, and we believe that everybody has that quality. Everyone can find it. All right, I'm all for it. Okay, let's do one more apologies, because I feel like you out apologize me only because you're so good at it, and I only got one shot because I can't think of anything. But I will text him at the end of the show, and I'll just say, just to be clear, I don't feel like I have to apologize for anything.
All right. So here's I'll throw you a softball. Joe Johnson.
Okay. Joe, I just wanted to take this time to apologize. When we launched this idea for this show, I just got into this like creative mindset and jokingly coming up with ideas, and some of them stuck and some of them didn't. And Joe Sisman and I were having a lot of fun coming up with ideas. And I remember I mentioned we were talking about inventing tricks, and I said, what about if we asked people if they thought Joe Johnson had ants in his pants. So I entirely manifested that storyline, and I apologize for anything that would have upset you about that or caused you embarrassment. I was all in good fun, but I can understand that I would put you on the spot and in front of a lot of people that we asked, because we did ask a lot. So I really apologize. And this is not sounding very sincere, Joe. It's hard. Oh my God.
I don't think you care.
But I do, like, oh, Joe, this is. So,
you
Joe,
always look happy on your bike. It's because you are happy on your bike. You don't.
So Mr. Johnson, I apologize for creating this storyline about you having ants in the pants, and forgive me for any. Quit laughing in the middle of it, Joe. It's not easy.
Okay, sorry. I don't mean to. This is what James does to people.
Yeah,
during
no,
the runs.
yeah,
This is not fair.
It's
For
very
you to
distracting.
touch your.
Joe Johnson. I came up with this idea. I bounced it off Joe. I said, what about if Joe Johnson had ants in his pants when he made up the tail whip? And then Joe was like, yeah, like that would be funny, because people would, it's so ludicrous, but maybe. And then I asked Matt Hoffman, I asked Pete Augustin, I asked Brian Blyther and Dave Volker. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And then we recorded these people, and then we had you watch these people, and you were so gracious in the way that you approached it. And I just want to apologize for any feelings that you had that were upsetting regarding my storyline that I created. So I apologize.
You're
Thank you,
making
Joe.
very good progress, Dave.
I know. I feel like
encourage you to-
that last round was pretty. Yeah, there was definitely some sincerity there, and I think
you
if Joe
felt
watched,
it, right?
yeah, and I think if Joe watched it, he would be like, "Oh, okay, good." If there was any ill feelings, it might have helped.
So when we release this, maybe you could text Joe and say,
Absolutely.
"Hey, I want to apologize, and I did on
And
a
here's-
recording that I would like
yeah.
for you to watch."
Yeah, I think that's a good practice that both of us can do this year.
Yes. Good.
There's a lot
Okay,
of-
so you have a natural disaster to
yeah, I mean, the
ride
water level,
in the
water
face
level
of.
hasn't come up to my. I'm on the second floor of this hotel. It hasn't come up to my window yet, so I think we're in the clear. But I'm gonna get back out to the One Love Jam. I did a little routine, but it was very slow.
Okay, so we have reset. So we have reset the show, and the new Instagram is launched. And let me read to you. Factor Freestyle, the show. Dave Norrie, Joe Sisman, and Jim McKay explore the moments that changed BMX and the lives of riders. Deeper meaning. Freemium life coaching offering.
Premium life coach. It's great, and we have to change the logo. And that there's more. I mean, it can kind of go on and on as we go.
Oh, we do have to change the logo, don't we?
Yeah, we have to change the logo, and then and I think, and so my picture would be something that would be like a rider. It can be a silhouette, and it's a rider, and they're like the heavens.
I'm going back to the original. And
For
then
now, that's fine. But then we'll
for
create.
now.
Yeah. So, but just hear me out on this vision. It's a silhouette, and it's a guy just standing next to his bike. Oh, we have to be careful with that one though, because Bob's got that.
Yes, we do.
So maybe he's okay. I have a picture that I have from One Love a couple years ago that I took, and it's perfect to get this across. So he's doing a trick. It'll be me. Is that okay if it's me? You can find somebody else. But I'm doing
Is
a
it
trick.
okay? Is it okay if you are the
Poster child.
subject matter, the poster
Yeah.
child?
Yeah, I don't want to be too like.
You don't want to be too what, obscure?
No, I don't want to be too assumptive. Like that.
Assumptive.
Yeah, like maybe it should be you, or maybe it should be.
Yeah, like maybe, I don't know. You know how I like fame. You know how I like the idea of fame. You know how I've never had fame.
You never had fame.
You know how
What
I
about-
have never had fame.
You had fame. I gave you 15 minutes of fame.
Oh, so that's okay. So you are the arbiter of fame.
I get in the
And you gave me some gimme fame.
in Daytona.
You had some extra fame.
had some
You
extra
finished your
fame.
plate of fame, and then you handed your unconsumed fame
It was
dinner
a little leftover
to me, the help, to eat if I wanted.
How
Oh,
did
hey,
it-
I couldn't finish my fame burger. You can have it. You can have what's left of my fame burger. You look pretty hungry.
Well, how did that feel? I mean, come on, let's be truthful here.
To have fame,
That moment.
I don't even know what real fame feels like.
Oh, Joe.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, what?
I
What?
think I think you're more
What?
famous than you think.
This is your plan?
No, it's not a plan.
Now?
That's my belief. But can we get back onto the track here? Which was saying this logo. I'm going to send you a picture. If you want to use that picture, that's fine. It is me. But the vision is that there's like the heavens beaming down into this rider, because we're looking for the deeper meaning. A little bit almost religious, but not really. Can you relate?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so then just recap. So we're gonna reset. We're gonna make sure that we're looking for the deeper meaning in life. We're gonna make sure that we be respectful, and yet we're still gonna have the jokes and the storylines. And then we'll just be careful if something comes up and we feel like it might be going too far. And we're gonna do different events like this contest that people can search for these deeper meanings, because the quest is part of the
It's the
journey
search for the
that-
deeper meaning.
yeah, and that's part of the journey for one to apply in their own life. And then we're also going to offer workshops such as Summit 43, which would enable riders that are not lizards but riders. I don't know where that lizard reference came from.
We were making the joke about Alex Jones, and Alex Jones believes that, I don't know if he believes, but it's like an Alex Jones lizard
Oh,
banker.
yeah.
Oh my God. So I go to this wedding this one time. This is God's honest truth. I go to this wedding this one time. And I'm Angie's plus one. And she introduces me to these friends of hers, or clients of hers, one of which, really nice. One of which, like he's a VP at a bank or something like that. Or he was introduced to me as a banker. And I go, hey, is it true that alien lizard central bankers run the world?
And he
He reaches he reaches out, and I go, "Hey, is it true about the alien lizard central bankers?"
and his response.
He goes, "We don't talk about that." And I go, "I knew it." But now that we're cool and we're hanging out, can you guys deal with me last? First thing.
That's so funny.
That's a true story. That's a true story.
Okay, so the
was a
reference was
nice guy.
because Alex Jones talks about lizards as what, running the world. I mean, Alex
Jesus.
Jones just goes so far out. I don't really know how far you're talking about.
Yes, that's it. It was a lampooning of this guy. And so we
How would
wanted to
Alex
make
Jones
sure
feel
that
about? How would he feel about that joke? I mean, would that be offensive to him?
I have no idea what it goes on in this guy's head, but I will
Well,
tell you one thing. I will tell you one thing. What goes on inside his head is how to get the money.
Right. Well, be prepared to do an apology to Alex Jones, because that might, that day might come.
Fuck that guy.
Oh my God.
He doesn't.
Joe.
I don't owe him an apology for anything. What's this guy? What kind of claim does this dude have against
just
me?
saying
Like
you're
I
using
made,
this
and like I
reference.
made a real dent.
You're using this lizard reference, and maybe that's his whole, belief.
Look, if it turns out that he's right and I'm wrong, I'll apologize then.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Okay,
nice.
so
That-
we're good. We got this.
Yeah, we got this. So now,
Hold on.
everyone listening, we hope you really like this new show format. If you don't, we encourage you to tell us that you don't and why you don't, and tell us what we should be doing to get 50, 60, 70% funnier. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we're gonna go with this. So Dave, go ride at One Love.
Okay.
And mind the tsunami.
Send me Montana's phone number. I don't think I have it. I want to text him. I don't.
Just I don't have his phone number either. I just Instagram.
Instagram. Okay. All right. And who else? And I'm sending you a picture. Okay. That's it. That's all I have to do.
Okay, go ride.
See you later. Bye.